Hello everybody. Today we are talking about calculation and the right thought process when we are calculating in chess. Recently I published a Chessable course on the fundamental calculation skills. I will put a link on the video description. This position, it's black to move. White has just gone queen d1, and while I'm introducing you the thought process, I want you to find the best move for black here. Take your time. Maybe you can try to solve it yourself. You can stop the video here. And then you come back to this moment and I start describing the right thought process when we are calculating in chess. I will also tell you common pitfalls that I've witnessed as a coach when some people are making some fundamental mistakes around calculation. So, chess is a very complex game. We cannot reduce chess to a single algorithm, right? Like there's not like a single algorithm that if you always follow it, you will always have the right answer. No, we cannot do it. We cannot approach chess like that. It's a very complex game. But there are still very fundamental steps that is advisable for us to go through when we are searching for the best move. There are three fundamental processes that I talk about. Whenever your opponent makes a move, you must see the threat. You must ask yourself whether you're facing a threat and what will be their next move if you don't make a move. Okay? Asking what the opponent wants to do. That's always step number one. The second step is searching for good candidate moves that look reasonable for you to play, right? Searching among options, just searching for alternative moves for you to consider, look logical. And the final step is blunder check. Just before you make your final move, you have to check for blunders, which means you have to look for the opponent's forcing replies against your move. Okay, so three fundamental processes. Now, let's talk about step number two, candidate move search. We have to always start from the orientation, from goal setting. We have to take a step back and evaluate the situation as a whole, see those imbalances, right? Setting our goal properly. One common mistake I've seen as a coach is that people just see one move that look good and they start analyzing it like there's no tomorrow. You know, deep calculations, analysis, and they never ask themselves, first of all, what the goal is, what they are playing for, and they are not generating several candidate moves to choose from, right? So always give yourself choices, always generate more candidate moves, but before you do all this, you have to understand the situation. You have to set your goal properly. In my course, there's also a separate chapter about goal setting and orientation, right? Because if you fundamentally orient yourself to the position nicely, then reasonable candidate moves will appear to you. So instead of falling in love with one move and analyzing in depth, we have to generate more choices to choose from. And once you choose a reasonable looking move, a candidate, you have to start analyzing it in your head. And while you're doing that, you have to look for the opponent's best reply. And many players go wrong here. Wishful thinking kicks in. They want to confirm their hypothesis instead of trying to falsify them like a scientist. This takes real effort, but you must do it, because if you miss the opponent's strong reply, then you can lose any chess position. And obviously we should give more weight to the forcing moves first when you're calculating, because if those forcing moves are winning for you, you don't need to search for anything else. Short but accurate calculation is much more important than long and obscure variation in chess. Why? Because long variation is wrong variation. Usually, if you try to force yourself to calculate 20 moves deep, there's a high chance that you will go wrong at some point. So masters, super GMs are great in analyzing short variations accurately, and they will give you great benefits. Trust me, folks. So let's apply this thought process to this position. The opponent's last move was queen d1, and many beginners miss the threats behind such retreats, right? Because it looked like a random retreat. Hey, the queen was attacked, she just retreated back to d1. So most beginners, they refuse to see the threat against such moves, but instead just follow the algorithm. Folks, can you see this threat? Yes, we are facing a huge threat right now. You get mated. So this is always the first question. What is the opponent's plan? He wants to checkmate me. So all your candidate moves right now must address this threat. Okay? So what should black do in this position? First of all, I'm seeing the entire board. Please, orientation phase, right? Take a step back, set your goal. It turns out we are down 2 pawns in this position. So active operations are called for, right? So from this goal setting, you understand, I cannot play slowly. I have to find something active in this position to have some chances. Also, when you're evaluating, when you're orienting yourself to the position, obviously, you should also look at the king's safety, correct? So none of the kings are actually quite safe. White king is also facing some issues, right? For example, the b2 square and, for example, the back rank issues, yeah? You should always pay attention to all these details when you're calculating in chess. Every single detail might be important for you later on, especially the king's safety, right? So all these things are actually playing a role for this calculation for us. We have to be active, we are down 2 pawns, and we are facing mate in 2 threat. Okay? So what are the candidate moves actually for black, given this orientation phase? Well, I'm immediately seeing moves like queen b6 in this position to defend against queen d8 mate, but this will be more passive, right? Because I'm not creating any threat on my own. It will be lovely for me to go to c3. Many beginners, by the way, would play this move without thinking because they can see, oh, I'm mating in 1. It's a huge, very strong looking move. I will mate you, right? So that's why I gave this position because, again, test your skills. Many beginners, they would not try to falsify the strong looking move queen c3, right? They will miss the threat and they will lose the game like this. So queen c3 I dismiss immediately. Then I'm seeing moves like queen b6. For example, I'm even seeing moves like rook d7 in this position, right? I'm stopping your mating threat and I'm hitting your queen. That's a candidate. But rook d7 will allow you many moves again, right? Maybe rook d5 is an idea. Maybe some other moves with the queen. Maybe queen f3, for example, right? So there are potentially, I'm giving you more choices. The line can be very long, for example, to calculate. So before I start calculating in depth the move rook d7, I take a step back, right? I'm asking myself, okay, so far I saw queen b6, rook d7 as a candidate on the very first move. What else is there? And that's a key question that many players neglect. What else is my option for the very first move? Most calculation mistakes happen, as Dvorsky said, on the very first move because people don't give yourselves choices. Okay? Can you see also a strong looking multi-purpose move, folks, that I'm seeing? I am also seeing the move queen f6, correct? Because queen f6 looks very multi-purpose. I'm stopping queen d6 check, I'm stopping queen d8 check, and I'm also exploiting, right, this diagonal. I'm also playing actively, which was my initial goal from the position, correct? Because after queen f6, your rook is pinned, otherwise you get mated. And given also the back rank mate issues that you're facing, suddenly I'm excited, right? So this one excites me, queen f6. Now you suddenly found a move that looked very promising, but before you play it, you have to calculate the entire line, right? Because queen f6 is a very forcing move too. I'm attacking your rook, so white must do something. Let's do it together, folks. Queen f6, well, the rook cannot move because I mate you on b2, which means this rook has to be protected by the queen. Either queen d4 or queen d5 becomes my candidates for the opponent, right? So now I'm analyzing those lines. Queen f6, queen d4, or queen d5 looks forced. Do I have something good in return? Are you following me, folks? And yes, I mentioned this back rank problem, right? Suddenly after queen d4 or queen d5, I do this queen f1 check and you get mated on the next move, right? Isn't it beautiful? So I'm combining in this position the weaknesses around the white king, the problems the white king is facing, the back rank, the b2 square, dark squares, plus the rook being unprotected on e5, plus using my knowledge of seeing the threat, the most important question, plus the knowledge that I must play actively is giving me, right, also broad search for candidates on the very first move. Suddenly we are not seeing the move queen f6. And once you see queen f6, you get excited, but you don't play it instantly. You search for the opponent's replies, and then it's only 3-ply deep calculation, folks. That's the final benefit. That's why my Chessable course is about these short calculations, 3-ply calculations. Because yes, after queen d4, queen f1, it's basically over. Your calculation can stop here because white gets mated on the next move. right? Just look how simple and sweet this entire line is. Short but accurate calculations, width rather than depth, right? We are giving ourselves more choices on the very first move, and then we are setting our goal properly, and we are engaging in short and crispy calculations. I hope you enjoyed this video, folks. Please go and check my course on Chessable. The link is in the description below. The course is a mix of strategic and tactical problems, just like in a real game. And we are training this fundamental thought process of setting your goal, seeing the opponent's threats, generating candidate moves, several candidate moves on the very first move, and engaging in short but accurate calculations by checking for the best reply by the opponent. If you like this video, please give me a like and subscribe so we can reach more people, and I will put more videos on calculation very, very soon. And I'm wishing you all the best for your chess game. Please give me feedback about your chess progress after you get my course, and I will catch you on the next video, folks. Thank you so much.